Giles, it's a week now since the terrorist atrocities in Paris. Presumably, this is a very bad time for governments to be even thinking about cutting defence budgets. So how have shares in defence contractors, such as BAE Systems, been performing?
Well, as you would expect, I mean, as one of our writers has put it this week, the market is amoral. It looks at these stocks and thinks their orders are more assured in the future, so they're going to go up a little bit. So I think big companies like BAE, as you mentioned, Lockheed Martin, Thales, they're all up about 5% on the basis of this. And this is important for them because orders for military equipment are extremely lumpy. The uncertainty around the sales book also fits very badly with their business case, which is research and develop for a very long time, build a factory, and then really hope that the orders are going to come along. And they often get cancelled or delayed in the short run. So this will have removed some of that risk away from those shares.
Over the past few years, we've heard a lot of talk about how Britain's defence capability generally has been degraded. How dependent is BAE Systems on its home market and how diversified is it internationally?
Well, that's a good question because BAE, every time it closes a factory, even if it's a few hundred jobs, it always gets into the press. It's regarded as more than just a company, but some kind of a national asset. But it is a very international company. It sells about maybe 25%, a third into this country, slightly more into the United States, where it's up against some really big others like Lockheed. And its other major customer is Saudi Arabia. There's a sort of arrangement between different European countries which ones can sell to which overseas countries. So for the Typhoon, which is the big fighter program, Kuwait is Italy's and Saudi Arabia is BAE's. So when the Saudis decide to shell out, that's a big bump for BAE.
So it's quite a diversified customer base. How does that compare with its American rivals? From what I understand, the US defence budget is many times bigger than everybody else's.
Yes.
And the US contractors are very dependent on a single customer.
Oh, enormously. I mean, Lockheed, for example, 80% of its sales is to that one big customer. So you'd have thought that would mean a sort of a lack of diversity risk. Then again, BAE, it's entirely defence sales. And it relies on three big customers. In a sense, you could say this is like having three different guys with a gun to your head instead. Right now, because of the international situation, because the US has resolved its budget squabbles, because we look like we're having a Tory government for some time, all of these big customers seem to be fairly assured that they're going to keep buying. So BAE looks like a relatively safe bet for now, given it's quite lowly rated compared to the other stocks.
But presumably that risk cuts both ways, doesn't it? If it's dependent on these three customers, if any one of them pulls out, that's bad news. But conversely, if any of them places a big order, that's surely going to be very good news.
Yes, that's well worth bearing in mind whenever you look at a stock. Anything can move it one way or the other. And right now, you've got to think the current order book is relatively assured. It's about 37 billion, 38 billion. There's a chance that some of those orders will be bumped up in the light of international uncertainty. So yes, there's a real chance that another order comes in and suddenly the stock looks extremely good value.
Giles, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan.